Hello, fellow planeswalkers of all ages. Welcome to the channel. This is Fatal Draw MTG. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that sub button for me. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Helps us grow. We're nearing at 50. At 50, we're doing the 20 foil giveaway. And I'll find a way to separate out the 20 foils. Maybe do like 4 foils for 5 people or 5 people with 4 foils. However I want to do it. But today, I'm going to be doing a deck tech on the Orzhov Afterlife that I was supposed to get to a while ago. I'm going to do my best I can on this. It's going to be kind of a crappy quality on the vid, just because this is where I had to shoot it. But anyways, I'm going to jump straight into the deck tech, and we're going to move on to, this actually the deck that, when More of the Sparks come out, I went undefeated for like 3 weeks up at my LGS. But also, real quick shout out, Pause had a giveaway. My wife actually won for the first time on there. She's a new sub on there, and first time she went on there and sub, she won. So big shout out to Pause Brown. Go check out his channel. Thank you to all my new subs and everything like that. I appreciate y'all. And I'm trying to cut the time short on this. Probably a lot of other people I'm missing. Sorry about that, but I'll hit that on the next one. But we're going to jump right into it. For the 2-drop slot, we do not have any 1-drops in this deck. Our first card is going to be Imperious Orzhov. It is a simple, I'm trying to get this where it's like not glaring, but this is going to be hard. It's a black and a white, Vigilance and Afterlife 1. This deck, it needs a 2-1. This deck is basically built around the Afterlife mechanic and surviving long enough to gain life, keep board presence, and we actually got a couple different win cons for that. But we're running 3 copies of the Orzhov. Basically, because it's got Vigilance, you can get it out early and swing with it if you need to. If it gets killed off, that's cool too. And we're going to move into the second, and we're running a full play set of Cruel Celebrant. Now, this is one of our win cons on here. Cruel Celebrant is a black and white 2-drop as well, 1/2. And whenever another creature or celebrant dies, or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So, get your Afterlife creatures out and get your planeswalkers out, or build up your board with spirits. You can throw your whole team at them. This gets triggered, boom, you can drain your opponent, and actually you're gaining life as well as you're going. We're running a full play set of that. Next one, we're running a full play set of Tithe Taker. Now, I do have Orzhov Enforcer for matches that are more aggro-y, but this, since Azorius control is in such a big thing right now, I'm running 4 copies of Tithe Taker instead. And Tithe Taker is 1 generic and 1 plains for a 2/1 Afterlife 1. And during your turn, spells your opponent's cast cost 1 more colors to cast. And abilities your opponent activates cost 1 more to cast as well, unless they are mana abilities. So, you can swap this out for Enforcer, which I'll get to later in the sideboard, for the more aggro-y matches that you'll have, like Gruul or something like that. But anyway, we're going to drop into the 3-drop slot. Administrative Obligation. We are running a full play set of that as well. And it is 2 generic, 1 white for Afterlife 2. 2/1. And it's simple, it's just the Afterlife triggers is what we're needing, and this is the Afterlife 2. So that gets us 2 spirit, and black and white spirits, by the way, on board after it dies. So there's ways we can get rid of this card too, and I'll take you along with that as well once we get down there. But the Afterlife trigger is the big thing about it. Our creature's dying, and we're still getting payoff for it by getting flyers up in there. And we got ways to buff our flyers too, and I'll get to that. But we're running a full play set of that. Going on to our other creatures, this is a 4-drop slot. Running a full 4 copies of Seraph of the Scales. Now, this is another one of our Wincons, Get Up in the Air. This one is a 4-drop, 2 generic, 1 white, 1 black. Flying Angel. It is a 4/3 body attached with it, and Afterlife 2 as well. It also comes with 2 abilities. You can tap 1 planes to give Seraph of the Scales Vigilance until the end of turn, or you can tap it for 1 black and gain Death Touch until the end of turn, or you can tap both of them the same turn and give it Vigilance and Death Touch. So, I mean, running into, a blocker for the guys on the ground, you can just give this guy Death Touch and boom, you still get a payoff of it for the Afterlife triggers. You can also swing in the air pretty confidently and still have a blocker up in there with the Vigilance ability and take out bigger flyers as well, such as, when Spawn of Mayhem gets triggers on it, and Thrax and a couple of others that get big in there. So running 4 copies of that. And for our last creature, we are running this is kind of like the deck's forerunner, I guess you can say. We're only running 2 copies of it because it is a legendary creature, and we actually can go to 3 if we want to, and we'll still be okay. But for this particular build, I'm running just 2 of it, and that is Teysa Karlov. Get that glare out y'all's way. Boom. Okay, there we go. Now, Teysa is a 4-drop, 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black, 2/4 body, legendary creature, human advisor. And the ability is what really gets this tech going, and it's crazy. If a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And creature tokens you have creatures that you control that are tokens have Vigilance and Lifelink. So, this is what I'm talking about, the Afterlife ability, and Cruel Celebrant as well. You have Teysa out. Okay. All your Afterlife triggers, such as Afterlife 2 or Afterlife 1, it calls it triggered again. So let's say Administrative Obligation dies. Instead of getting 2 1/1 spirit tokens that are black-white spirit tokens, you get 4 instead. That goes for all the Afterlife abilities. The ones that cost 1, you'll get 2 spirits instead of 1 off of it. And and they get Vigilance and Lifelink as well, so you can confidently keep pecking your opponent with these flyers in the air, and that's a crazy ability. But it really also helps us with Cruel Celebrant as well, because when a creature does die, it's the triggered ability, so it triggers Cruel Celebrant's ability twice. So if we have, let's say, a board full of, let's say, 5 creatures, and we just, find a way to wipe them all out, which we do have a way to do, you can just knock off the board, and Cruel Celebrant's ability is going to trigger twice, so 5 creatures instead of 5 damage that your opponent's going to take, and you gain 5 life, it'll be 10 damage, and you gain 10 life. So the Cruel Celebrant's ability is pretty good once you get your field pretty much based out. And even we're not scared of board wipes either because of the Afterlife triggers that we have. But, if the board state gets built up too bad for us, we actually have our own board wipes as well. But, getting those triggers off of Teysa. And if they want, waste the kill spell on Teysa, we always got a backup on that as well. But the Vigilance and Lifelink, big thing. And the reason why is we are running 2 copies of the Last of the Guild Pack. Now, this is the artifact, 2-drop. And Last of the Guild Pack is going to give our multicolored creatures you control get +1/+1. So, yeah, and that sticks to the board as artifact. So, our spirit tokens are now 2/2s in there. And with the Afterlife triggers and all that stuff, you can build up an army of 2/2 flying lifelinkers that have Vigilance as well. So that's kind of pretty scary. And Seraph of the Scales, of course, is going to get there. It'll be a 5/4. Or Oglarth, Cruel Celebrant. Let's see, Teysa. Basically, the only ones that are not going to be getting buffed up by Glass of the Guild pack is going to be our Tithe Takers and Administrative Obligations. But that's okay. So that's the basis of it. Now, we do run some board wipes of our own, just because of the board state and board presence nowadays, and also we can get rid of a lot of our creatures. Let's say we got Tithe Taker, Administrative Obligations, a couple of those creatures are Oglarth out, and we want to get our triggers right off the bat, and get rid of their guys all at the same time. We are running 3 copies, I believe. Yeah, 3 copies of Kaya's Wrath. Now, Kaya's Wrath is one of the best board wipes you can get. It's 2 planes, 2 black. Destroy all creatures. You gain life equal to the number of creatures you controlled that were destroyed by this. So, even with, let's say, we got a board full of spirits somehow. Taysa was on the board, and we just got 8 spirits. Loaded the board up. We can swing in with those 8 creatures, the spirits, and try to get as much damage in as possible, and then during our second main, we can Kaya's Wrath and just blow up the board, and then boom, we got value out of it both ways. And if you got Cruel Celebrant on board as well, that's going to be a huge trigger off of that. So yeah, we're going to run 3 of them, and then also going to run, since we do run Planeswalkers in this deck, we're going to run 3 copies of Oath of Kaya. Now, Kaya is a 3-drop, 1 colorless, 1 white, and 1 black for a legendary enchantment. And when Oath Kaya enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life. So what I'm saying is, we're gaining life, able to stay in the game, taking out smaller creatures, or block, and then, second main play this to finish off a bigger creature. But this is what we got it for, is our Planeswalkers. Whenever an opponent attacks a Planeswalker that you control with 1 or more creatures, Oath of Kaya deals 2 damage to that player, and you gain 2 life. So it's going to make them think twice about coming after our Planeswalkers. So we're running 3 of those as well. Then we're running 3 copies of Mortify. Now, as y'all know, basically enchantments right now, as in the meta, is, pretty basic right now. You see quite a bit of it in quite a bit of decks. So we're running 3 copies of this. This is a 3-drop. 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. Destroy target creature or enchantment. So and it's an instant speed too, so we can do it on our opponent's turn. So if they're playing Gruul, we can just blow up something big that they got over there. They kick out Shifting Ceratops or something like that. No, it can't be countered, but we can blow it up. So you get value out of it that way, or if they got a enchantment on board that's causing problems, we always got a way to take that out as well, such as Rhythm of the Wilds and other nonsense like that. So we're running 3 copies of that. And moving on to our last of enchantments, spells, and all that good stuff where we get our Planeswalkers, is we are running 1 copy for especially long game, Ethereal Absolution. Now, Ethereal Absolution is a 6-drop, 4 generic, 1 white, 1 black for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Creatures your opponent controls gets -1/-1. You can pay for 2 generic, 1 white, and 1 black to exile target card from a opponent's graveyard. If it was a creature card, you get to create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. So we run into a long game situation where we're kind of stalled out against a control build. We're able to just continuously use Ethereal Absolution to pump out our spirits. Also, if we survive long enough in the long game and our opponent's playing a lot of 1-drops that are 1/1s, that neg-1s it, and we can take it out a lot easier. Even the bigger guys, and we can get our blockers in. If they're -1, it takes off their attack and their defense on that, so we get to get a little bit easier on our blocking, and we get value off of our afterlife creatures, because the only non-afterlife creature itself is our Tesa and our Cruel Celebrant. Now, we're going to move on to our Planeswalkers. First one we're going to be running is Gideon Blackblade. Now, this one pairs well with the deck itself. Let's see if we can get it in there. There we go. It's a 1 generic, 2 white, legendary Planeswalker. And as long as your turn, Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 human soldier creature with indestructible that is still a Planeswalker. And to prevent all damage that would be dealt to Gideon Blackblade during your turn. So even on our turn, Gideon gets out. Before we even do our +1s or our neg ability, he's a 4/4 that we can just go in and swing with. That ain't too shabby at all. Let's see. I'm sorry about the glare, y'all. This is not going. I'm just reading out the cards to you basically at this point, because y'all are not going to be able to make them out. But yeah, okay. This +1 ability is up to one other target creature you control gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Indestructible until the end of the turn. Now it says other creature, so you cannot target Gideon on your turn because it says other creature. So let's say we got Seraph of the Scales out. We can give it Indestructible, and tap black mana to get it Death Touch as well. So I mean, we can kill off something, give it Vigilance and Indestructible until the turn. We can give, if somebody's going to try to take out Tesa, give it Indestructible until the end of the turn if we're just afraid of a kill spell coming up or anything like that. Or a counter spell that's going to bounce it or anything of the nature of that, or pin it down. Like such as Prison Realm or anything like that that's going to be targeting our creature. Well, Prison Realm wouldn't work because it doesn't do hexproof. But Vigilance and Lifelink, you can also give it to Seraph of the Scales, give it Lifelink. I mean, you got a 4/3 body that's swinging with Lifelink, and the other trigger or the abilities off Seraph of the Scales as well. So we're running 2 copies of Gideon Blackblade. And then our next one is going to be Sorin, Vengeful Bloodlord. And probably Sorin's always been one of my favorite Planeswalkers, and Gideon as well. That's probably the reason why they're in my deck. But this one is a 4-drop, 2 colorless, 1 white, 1 black. And its first, ability before you even get to the plus or the minus is, as long as it's your turn, creatures and Planeswalkers you control have lifelink. So Gideon's out on the board, he'll have lifelink on our turn if we got Sorin out as well. All of our creatures will have lifelink on our turn. And its +2 ability is Sorin deals 1 damage to target player or Planeswalker. So we can peck our opponent. And since our Planeswalkers have lifelink as well, not only be pinging it, but we'll be gaining 1 damage, or gaining 1 life off of it as well. And its neg X ability is return target creature with converted cost mana X from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a vampire in addition to its other type. So if somebody finds a way to get rid of Teysa Karlov, we can automatically neg for it because this is a 4 loyalty. And Gideon was actually a 4 loyalty as well. I don't know if I said that during it. But 4 loyalty, so I mean we can automatically get our Teysa back right off the bat, or if we need a Seraph of the Scales, or even Cruel Celebrants, stuff like that, we can go ahead and neg it out and get those on board after they hit the graveyard. Or if we need some more creatures to get more afterlife triggers and stuff like that. So we're running 2 of these. And now remember, Oath of Kaya is going to make them think twice about trying to take these guys out. But if they do not take them out, they're going to have a problem for the rest of the game with it. So, and then we move on to our land package, which is pretty basic. We're running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 planes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, Swampies. And then we move on to the other 4 that's going to complete our 23 land cycle. We're running 2 Temple of Silences. This is the one that when it enters the battlefield, enters the battlefield tapped, and you get to scry 1. And you can add black or white mana after that. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of scry lands, but the shock lands are pretty high up right now. And I like the scry ability on some points on this to try to hunt down maybe a Kai's Wrath or something like that to get rid of a bad board presence that you got. So we're running 2 of those. And then Castle Ardenvale. This one enters battlefield tapped unless you control planes, which we should, tap it for 1 white mana, and then you can tap it 2 colorless and 2 white mana for, and you got to tap this as well to create a 1/1 white human creature token. So, I mean, in the long game, yet again, we're only running 1 copy of this, but in the long game, we can still put out bodies on board that if we need, if we got Cruel Celebrate and we got Sacrifice Fodder basically to, chunk block and get value off of Cruel Celebrate off of it. And for our final one, just because I pulled it during my actual pre-release, the War of the Sparks, is a foil version of Godless Shrine. This is the shock land. And basically it just it's going to enter tapped unless you shock yourself for 2. And I mean, that card's just gorgeous. Probably my favorite shock land that they made just on the artwork alone on it. But that completes the land cycle. That's 23 that we're running this deck. Now I will show you some of the sideboard. Like I said, this deck I haven't actually played in quite some time. I played it the other night against Richard, and I'm sure, I don't know if y'all follow me on Facebook, he actually put a post up where he was playing Azorius Control, or a version of Azorius Control, and our second game went into, it was like 2 hours. So, I mean, it's pretty crazy, but like I said, for a Tithe Taker, we have 4 Orzhov Enforcers to replace it for the Gruul matches and stuff like that. It's a 2-drop, 1 white, or 1 colorless and 1 black for a 1/2 with Afterlife 1, and it's a Death Touch. So basically, those guys try to, just come at us. We can throw him out. We lose a creature, yeah, but we're going to be gaining a spirit as well. So great value on that. Then we're also going to run an extra copy of Mortified just in case, we need more removal in our deck. We're running 3 Spark Harvesters. Now, this is an interesting choice. This is a 1-drop. An additional cost to cast this card, you can either sack a creature or pay 4 mana. We are probably always going to be sacking a creature. And that gives us triggers on our Afterlife and Cruel Celebrant's abilities as well. So we can bring those in if need be, if we're not moving quick enough. And we think we need to get rid of, more aggro style decks that we can get rid of their creatures and trigger our abilities. Because this is kind of a combo trigger deck where you just got a lot to keep up with on a lot of these points. Also running 2 Plague Crafters. It is a 2 generic, 1 black, 3/2 body, and when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. Each player who cannot do so discards a card. Now, that again works well with our deck because we're okay with sacrificing our creatures. It triggers our abilities again. This one, I just thought it was fun, so I threw in that. That's Revival and Revenge. The Revival one is 2-drop. That's you can either pay 2 white or 2 black, whichever one. And return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's a good way to get Cruel Celebrate back or Ministrate back. Any of our 3-drop or 3 drops or lower creatures back to the battlefield for that. But the Revival thing is pretty intense. Revival is a 6-drop. You pay 4, 1 white, 1 black. double your life total, and target opponent loses half their life total rounded up. Now that does get pretty sick, and it's just a fun card to play, so I just have it in the sideboard just for funsies. And then Kaya, Bane of the Dead. One copy of it as well. It is a 3 generic, and you can pay 3 white or 3 black. It's a color combination of either, but it's a 6 drop. Planeswalker your opponent and permanents your opponent controls with hexproof can be the target of spells and abilities you control as though they didn't have hexproof. So if they got a way to protect their creatures or themselves, that pretty much negates that. So we run a copy of that just in case. And then its neg 3 ability is actually pretty nice as well for removal. Exile target creature. You can't get more simple than that than removal. We're also going to run an extra copy of Kaya's Wrath. You already know what it does, just in case we needed to wipe out some more, lower to the ground mono white top builds and stuff like that. An extra copy, one of Ethereal Absolution, yet again for the long games. And finally, extra copy of Tatha Karloff or Tay. And we'll run her just in case we don't think that 2's enough or we're not getting to her quick enough. We can swap out one of our cards to get 3 on board with her. And it can, it ranges according to what you're going to be playing. I mean, you may want to take out Kaya's Wrath for it, or in shorter games, you might want to take out for Ethereal Absolution, or even one of our planeswalkers like Sorin. I mean, there's if you want to get Tay quicker, there's a way to do it in our sideboard. But as I said, this is a very trigger heavy deck that you do not think it might not run that well, but it actually does. It does extremely well with this job. It keeps you going for the early game. You can have your creatures out. You can be aggressive because you're not worried about your creatures dying. You can actually set up your board as well for Cruel Celebrants and the Afterlife triggers. Mid game, we're okay too because we're gaining life constantly, usually off of something. And we got big flyers in the air, such as Seraph that we can hit them with. Plenty of removal. And then in the long game, we got, Ethereal Absolution. More board wipes. Our planeswalkers get back creatures from the graveyard like Sorin does. I mean, we can survive short game, mid game, and long game very quickly. But I hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm sorry that I done this in crappy lighting and stuff like that. But if you're new to the channel and this is your first experience seeing one of my deck techs, go ahead and join the fam. We're nearing 50. So go hit that sub button, hit that notification bell. Y'all know what to do on here. Helps out the channel a lot. Don't be afraid to leave comments. I'm open to all ideas. And for the people who do, or my subs that are on here, feel free to comment whatever you think about the deck, what choices y'all would make to alter it in today's current meta. Because right now I don't really have it built specifically towards today's current meta, but you can still run it in today's meta, and it still runs very well. Like I said, I ran it against Zori's Control, and I won the first game. And then the second game was just a stall out for 2 hours when we was playing over the phone on Messenger. So, I mean, it worked really well with the meta today. I mean, Azorius is the top tier deck right now, so. And even the mono reds, we can plenty of removal to take it out, and we got enough ways to our creatures dying and still getting out spirit tokens, so we're okay with that. And plenty of combo pieces. But until then, guys, I mean, just let me know what y'all think. Any kind of things y'all want to see next. I will get to that vamp build as well, pause, at some point in time or another. It's just been hectic around here. But until then, guys, Fatal Draw is out. Hope you enjoyed the vid. And as always, may you draw well.